You know, Laguna Woods Village does have a history. It started with Ross Cortese way back then, the developer who had a vision for it, Leisure World as it was called back then. And it's been 60 years of that history. And I want to welcome to the program Catherine Bryans, who is at the History Center. And you just celebrated the 60th anniversary of the village here, right?
Well, we've just started.
Just started. It's underway.
It's underway. We're going to do a three-parter, so I'll talk about that in a little bit, honoring the village for 60 years. And I know that the community at large is going to be doing some celebrations throughout the year, which will be really good. The actual move-in date was September of 1964, so we're leading right up to that time.
So tell us about the kickoff for the 60th anniversary. What was it all about? I know we have some pictures we'll probably be taking a look at here.
Well, we kick off differently than a lot of kickoffs because we kick off with old stuff, the history. But one of the things we did was have a reception on Tuesday evening. And since you haven't been in the building, we'll get you there.
We'll get me there. I will. I'll come.
Since you haven't been in the building, it's important to realize how small it really is. And we had over 100 people show up.
Wow, okay.
So it was standing room only.
We have a picture of the
that
event.
That picture is a little deceiving because that was before the whole flock of people moved in that room. There were a lot of people. But on the top, on the left is Dean Dixon, who is our CEO, and he was welcoming people seated in the blue shirt on the right side is Jared Mathis, who's the great-great-grandson of Nellie Gale Moulton.
Oh, wow.
Exactly, and he's the head of the Moulton Museum that's down in off La Paz in Cabot Road.
Okay.
Near.
A lot of people don't realize that so many of these streets and names of buildings and things like that are named after the original founders.
The family.
Nellie Gale, the Moultons, Segerstroms, and all these people around here, right?
Exactly. And what the unique thing is what ties everything together for us is maintaining that relationship with the Moulton family has been very important for us, and it's been ongoing for several years, and that's a good thing. But anyway, that's Dean and Jared Mathis, who is the great-great-grandson, beginning of the program, which really was very short because obviously people came to see what we were exhibiting.
Right.
They also came to eat.
Let's take a look at some of the, yeah, well, who doesn't like food?
That's in the village.
Let's take a look at the next slide. We have a great picture. You have some displays up there.
This is one of our display cabinets, and what you're seeing in there are some of Nellie Gale's painting. And we had an exhibition of hers several years ago that had 800 and some people show up over a 4 or 5 week time. It was very interesting. And all these pictures and all the artifacts you see have never been shown publicly yet.
Oh, okay.
So we are in front of the line, and that
was
the debut. And this is all three of the cabinets. The right-hand cabinet, tall cabinet, shows Nellie Gale with her daughters, Charlotte and Louise. And they were very active on the ranch, as was Nellie. After Lewis Moulton passed away, they were actually running that. And you can see a horse collar, lariat, different pieces that were shown. In the left-hand cabinet is a picture of the family, the Moulton family, along with the Daguerre family. The Daguerre family came on later on and became a third ownership in that ranch, and he was a sheep herder from the Basque French country.
And I've seen the archived pictures of the sheep on the hills.
Yes.
It's amazing to think it's only a couple generations ago that this was really just ranch land and orange groves and lemon groves and bean fields and things like that.
And it was bean fields and wheat, and they did dry farming, but it was cattle and then primarily became sheep. They're a little easier to move around. And they ran sheep all the way up into Bakersfield through the mountains. I know. They didn't own that property, but they had grazing rights.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you guys have a second exhibit coming up that you guys are going to do. You have something else coming up later this year.
That's part of our three-pronged. We have 2 events coming up. The first one will be in May. They run for 3 months, as will this exhibit run for 3 months. And that one is what we call sort of fossils forward. It's the beginning of the construction, and you see all these great construction pictures, which were,
right.
But that was the beginning. It didn't just happen in September of '64.
It didn't just suddenly
it happened
Yeah, we got a great aerial. We have a great aerial shot of some of the development too, and there at El Toro Road. Yeah, and it's incredible to see kind of like almost the stages of it as it grows out.
Right, and a lot of that was due to financing and things of that sort that were necessary, and especially in United, which is co-ops, the original village.
Right. And the thing is, when Cortese started this has been an unproven idea. It was who would want to be here? The investors weren't 100% behind it at first.
Well,
and then it boomed and it sold out so quickly. I think that was one of the things that okay, we've got something here.
I think he figured that out when Leisure World in Seal Beach sold, which was the first one.
Right.
He had built some developments before. Rossmore was actually a community he built. Surprise, Rossmore.
Yeah, right.
And they maintained that name. And I think he realized that, but he believed the seniors were a very neglected, this is Ross Cortese, I'm speaking for him, where there was a very, very neglected market for mature adults. And he recognized, I don't know where this all came from, but he recognized the fact that people were beginning even then to retire earlier. And he knew that this group wanted a community that offered more than just housing. So we got it in spades.
Absolutely.
And I spent several years being a docent in this community, and one thing I realized that people were shocked that we had stables and we had several golf courses and all.
The first security patrols were on horseback, weren't they? That's the story I heard from the folks from the Equestrian Center.
Really? I haven't seen that. That may be true that there was some. I don't know that for sure. I'll have to check on that.
You should make me a docent.
But you have to be a docent with the right information.
Yes,
so
I do. We have to check that out. I can't just be blathering on, which I do usually.
He started actually construction in this area through Seal Beach and here early on in the late 50s, early 60s. And then the opening day was in 1964.
Amazing time. So for folks who have not been down to the center, where is it? That's a great question, I think.
Well, it's adjacent, and I say adjacent to the library.
Okay.
Near Clubhouse 1, because it's actually a separate building. It has 8 inches between the two buildings. It was become very important for some reason, but we were built later, and then the portico out front was to make it look like one. So we're right next to the village library. We will be open when Clubhouse 1 is shut down for beautification.
The remodel, right?
And but there's going to be limited parking, but we will be open and we'll be available. So.
And what are the hours that you guys are open if people want to come by and take a visit?
Our primary hours are 11 to 1 Monday through Friday, and that's because we only have a few volunteers that work in there.
Oh, okay.
I'm one, and we have 10 trustees, and then we have, other than our trustees, just 2 or 3 other volunteers who come in.
So then the next question is, do you need volunteers?
We're always looking for people. Right now, we were hoping to get someone with some background in the web page. We have a web page. We just need someone in office to be able to discuss changes with, and we also contract with a professional person, but we need someone who could translate our information to their speak, which is nothing I know anything about. And we would love to have somebody come in and work with us on Facebook.
Got to get folks from the PC Club coming over and helping you guys
I
out.
went and I spoke to them at their latest meeting, and it was like,
get in line?
Sure. There was nothing much. It was nothing that was going to happen that day, or maybe it will someday. Maybe somebody will get interested after seeing the exhibit. So
yes, very fun stuff.
But our really big job is, and this is important, we collect the history not only of Laguna Woods but the surrounding areas, and it's important for us to document things so people can research. So anybody can come in and
see those histories and learn from it.
Exactly.
Catherine Bryans from the History Center here in Laguna Woods Village, thank you so much for joining us.
My
and
pleasure.
Look forward to celebrating the rest of the 60-year anniversary with you. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to be talking to folks from MacArthur Dental Arts. Stay with us.